Isn't it enough that your students keep such irregular hours as it is without having to wake us up in the middle of the night? Well, what is it? It's not Aunt Hepzibah, is it? I knew she shouldn't have taken so much quinine.
It's not Aunt Hepzibah, Emily. Listen to this. Come to me by all means, my fine student, as soon as you receive this. At last, by long persuasive diplomacy, I've gained permission from the directors of the city museum to examine the mummy. You know the one I mean. I have permission to unswat it and open it desirable. My best students will be present at my house where the mummy now lies. We shall begin at 11 tonight. Yours, Professor Von Honor.
A mummy?
Yes, he's been trying for over a year to conduct the examination.
But it's a dead body.
A dead body that can unlock the secrets of the ancient world for us.
Well, I don't want any part of it, and you shouldn't either.
It's science, sister dear.
It's not healthy.
We've been over all this before, Emily. I want to devote my life to science, unraveling the mysteries of what makes the world tick.
You don't have to know what makes it tick, just so it does.
Aren't you ever curious? Don't you ever ask why the bluebirds blue, why leaves fall from trees like clockwork in the fall, why no two snowflakes are ever alike?
Wondering why I never put food on the table.
There's no point arguing. We live in two different orbits, and it's a wonder they don't collide more often.
And what does that mean?
I'm getting dressed.
Thomas, you're not going, are you?
Of course I am. This is a chance of a lifetime.
But what if the mummy should bring a curse down upon you?
How can that be? You said it yourself. He's dead.
You never know. You can't trust those things.
I never dreamt of a moment like this.
To think, we're the first women permitted to study here at the university.
And to examine a real mummy.
Do you think perhaps we shouldn't do this?
Eliza, we're students of physical science and anthropology. We wouldn't be fulfilling our studies if we didn't take advantage of this opportunity.
But this was a real person.
She's right. After all, we wouldn't go about digging up Grandpa for his scientific investigation.
But lady, this is different. This isn't Grandpa.
He was somebody's grandpa.
It was all so long ago.
And what his body might tell us certainly outweighs anything else.
You don't suppose there's still some kind of disease in there, do you?
I hardly think so. Embalming was a very long process.
I think it's disgusting.
At least they killed all the germs.
And now, we are all here.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Mr. Dessert.
I knew scientists worked odd hours, but I didn't realize it would be this odd.
Such examinations are best done under cover of darkness, and as far from a classroom as possible, where thoughtless eyes and ears may misconstrue our investigation.
Yes, it's only been 100 years or so since the witch hunts.
Exactly.
You didn't bring that sister of yours, did you?
Emily threats will come home cursed for all time and not turn into a jellyfish before dawn.
She's a bit on the suspicious side, is she?
Even her own shadow frightens her.
That's only because she doesn't ask questions and find out the answers. Nothing we understand can truly frighten us, which is what has brought us to this moment.
But Professor, do you really think this is safe?
We will find out, won't we?
That's not very reassuring.
My dear students, there's always a risk in everything we do, isn't there? Especially if we've never done it before.
Who is this fellow anyway? It says here, all mistake.
It's not very clear.
According to the hieroglyphs, is an individual of a fairly high rank.
And he died approximately 5,000 years ago.
The first dynasty.
Before the pyramids were built.
Where was this sarcophagus found?
A tomb near Olympias in the Libyan mountains, quite a way above Thebes on the Nile.
I've never heard of the place.
The grottos at Olympias aren't nearly as elaborate as those at Thebes, so they tend to be overlooked. But the chamber from which our specimen was taken was said to be very richly decorated in illustrations, statues, paintings, faces, and mosaic work. Well, shall we begin?
Why, the cedar still smells fresh.
There's another cover.
And now, let me introduce you to our guest of honor.
Oh, he's frightening. All wrapped up like that.
Look how calm he lies. Such peace. Almost as if he doesn't want to be disturbed.
But we wouldn't be good scientists if we looked into his rest, would we?
Shall we remove the wrapping?
Very carefully. We shake a scissor cut. Miss Buckingham, take the right hand. Miss Glidden, the left. Charles Salzberg and Thomas Thrive, and Miss Blanchard and I will begin at the head and work down.
It's so dry, so dusty.
What's wrong?
I just saw a beetle.
There's nothing alive in here but squid.
Only your imagination.
I know what I saw.
His legs are in excellent condition.
As if he could jump up and walk.
Space is beautiful. It hasn't deteriorated in the least.
Perhaps there's a mistake on the date. Maybe he isn't as old as we think.
No, he's 5,000 years old if he's a magnificent.
Say, Professor, did you notice anything unusual?
I did, Thomas.
It doesn't appear his organs are removed.
That's with most mummies.
What do you make of that?
It's almost as if it's expected he would come back to life and eat all his parts.
Don't say that.
We could try a bit of an experiment.
What are you thinking?
We've all read Mary Shelley's book.
Frankenstein?
Mr. Barley, are you suggesting we electrically charge his phone?
Why not? Just to see what would happen.
But in Shelley's book, the monster came alive.
I doubt he'd come alive, but we might get some kind of reaction.
No one needs to know. Chances are nothing will happen anyway.
Thomas, there's a voltaic pile in the laboratory there. Bring it in, would you?
Yes, Professor.
Just think, if he did come back to life, we could show him how wonderful the world is.
I wonder what he'd think of our railroads, and our steamships, and our universities.
I should say he would be very impressed. Here we go. Charles, attach the wires to his left hand. Everyone ready? Go ahead, turn it on, Charles.
Nothing.
What was that?
Thomas, charge the left.
I don't believe it. The head. Professor, let's try the head.
Whatever happens, ladies and gentlemen, we will always remember this moment.
And just what do you think you're doing?
You're alive.
Well, it looks that way.
But how?
Well, you tell me. I was lying here, peacefully enjoying my rest, when all of a sudden my eyes open and here I am. Help me out of this thing.
Be careful. You haven't walked in quite a while.
I know. 700 years.
700? Oh, there has been miscalculation.
You're 5,000 years old, sir.
5,000? Well, how could that be?
You died 5,000 years ago, and your tomb was only recently uncovered.
Only recently, but they told me.
Are you going to hurt us?
Now, why would I do that? My dear Miss Glidden, I would not harm a fly.
You're sure.
I'm Count Almasig.
How?
My rank in our society.
I can't believe I'm standing here, having a conversation with a dead man. And how's it you're able to speak English?
My brain is simply able to translate any language I hear, and for all to hear me in their own language when I speak. And I assure you, I'm not dead.
But after 5,000 years...
Unfortunately, I fell into a catalepsy. He stated as appearing dead. My friends had me embalmed at once. You're familiar with embalming?
Yes, but this still doesn't make any sense.
Of course it does. See, in ancient Egypt, the act of embalming was intended to stop any further